What do we got? 30 seconds left. Oh, we need to speed this. We need to speed this thing along and get started early. No reason in particular. I'm just like watching the seconds count down. I know you guys are too. Appreciate y'all coming out. All right, 4, 3, 2, 1. Which camera? Oh, this one here. Okay. Hey guys, welcome to this week's CertifiedTinner.com live stream. I, of course, am Matt, and today we are going to be shrinking some film live on this guy right here. Look at that. I got two cameras. I'm so fancy today. So I wasn't able to really get a quality video out this week, so that's a reason for doing this instead. I was on the go with a smaller camera this week, and it's just, I don't know, part of it turned out okay, and the rest of it kind of, there's just a lot of noise in the background, and I wasn't super happy with it. So I figured we could just kind of shoot the breeze today, shrink a windshield. I could do it a couple times, answer questions in between those two times, and see where things go from there. So what's up, guys? I'm just going back through the chat really quick. So this is going to be just a very casual episode this week, or live stream this week. We got, oh wow, we got a lot of people. We got somebody from South Korea. Welcome. Sure, it is definitely early over there, I think. Yeah. What up, JR88, Haynes, Daniel is here, Slick Top, Jason, Sean, what up, guys? Anybody else that I missed, welcome. Okay, so it's super bright in here too, because I'm trying to brighten this windshield up as best as I can so you guys can see it. It's gonna be a little bit interesting. So I got a big ass T5 light there. I got like a housing light there. Two bulbs up here, this, and then as you can see, like making my head glow a little bit. We got this bulb back here to hopefully brighten up this section of the windshield. So, Mike dropping a super chat early on. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Windshield heat control. I don't know what that is. Long Beach in the house, Florida. God, we got people from all over. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. We're just gonna pop things over here. I'm rambling. I'd rather just like do nothing right now. Okay, so we gotta take the headset off. Whoa! All right, so I got a knife. So first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna chop some of this off. This is just a inexpensive dyed film. I've actually had this stuff for a fair amount of years. It's been sitting, so it should go pretty well. I'll try and keep an eye on the chat too when I can. But we're gonna use a little Wagner heat gun. Hope you guys can see everything okay so far. Let's see what. What's up, bro? Give me some tips when shrinking. I always get creases. There we go. That's what we're here for today. All right. So first things first. This thing's been sitting for a little bit. So normally, what I do, like I got a layer of dryer sheet over this entire thing, and then I put a pretty rough wet line here. And then from there, I'm just gonna tack it down. I actually kind of wanna, like, I don't like leaving film sitting for this spot to dry out. So I'm just gonna go ahead and re-wet it and lay it back down. It's gonna be a little bit different being completely vertical too. So just bear with me. We are in tight quarters today. This is a busted ass windshield off of some Mercedes, and the only reason I know that is because there's a Mercedes sticker down in the corner. I need a felt card. I'm gonna buy a felt card for myself real quick. Daniel Reyna with a $15 super chat. Thank you, sir. Much appreciated. All right, let me just go back through here right quick. Give me some tips. What can I use for keep scratching? Is it possible to overshrink? Yes, it is definitely possible to overshrink the hell out of it. So let's just take things slowly on the first time. I'll try and explain it as best as I can. And then we'll go a little bit faster on the next go. So let's see, where am I? This is a mirrored view. So hopefully you guys can kind of see in here. Maybe just zoom in a hair. So we got like this lower corner here. So this is what we're going to attack first. So I split it in half and do a rough H pattern. I'm not super worried about the sides. It really depends on how floaty these corners are. But as long as you swipe your hand across this way, kind of go up and down a little bit, as long as it's sticking, okay, then it's not that big of a deal. It doesn't have to be super tacked down on the side. So moving forward, we're basically just going to kind of section things off a little bit, organize things to be vertical, and you can, see all these things. The areas that I'm pressing down, the film is kind of sticking to the glass. So we're going to fire up our heat gun. This is just the little, $20 Wagner heat gun. It's 20 bucks. These things work great. I would recommend getting a Porter cable above it, but they sell these at Home Depot, Walmart, a bunch of places, and they're just a really, really good option to start out with. So let's see how well you can see this. This is why I brighten the hell out of it. So hopefully you guys can see what's going on here. So really we're just going to keep things even. And all I'm looking for is like right in here, the fingers and, oh God, what am I saying? The film is basically, when you're shrinking it, it's pulling together here. So if I were to over shrink this spot, it's going to create like a really aggressive smiley, and we don't want that. We just want it to kind of start to settle down to the point where when you press it down, it's going to lay flat, and then you're kind of moving on to the next section. So you'll see these peaks start to form when you're pushing it a little bit too far down, and that's where you want to stop and take care of these areas as you go. So shrinking is really about getting a feel for where the heat gun, where the heat that you're applying to the film is and how much you can put. And the only way to really figure this out is just to go for it a bunch of times. So we're just kind of working everything down. And then this section, as soon as you get past the dots, you're pretty much all set. So, I don't know how well you guys can even see this. Is this okay? Can you guys see this? Give me some feedback in the chat if you can. You see, you got on one spot, blah, blah, blah. I hope. I don't know. We're just going to kind of go with it. I'm just looking at where my camera is and where the light is. So you can see some of these fingers up here. They get more aggressive up in these corners. Please stay. Please stay. All right. So they get a lot more aggressive up in these top corners. Not enough dryer sheet. Oh, there's plenty of dryer sheet. I put way too much dryer sheet on this, really. So a lot of times what I'll do is there'll be less to shrink in the middle and there'll be more to shrink here. So there'll be more aggressive fingers too on the sides. So a lot of times what you can do is create this little wiggle up here. Let's zoom out just a hair. We're zooming in. Ooh. Oh, this section's good here. All right, we'll get to this in a second. So let me polish this one up actually. And then we'll go to that side. I can see there's way better light reflection off of there. So let me just breeze through this. You're really just looking for the squiggles, and if it's way higher up off the glass, if you can pull one of these corners and make the whole section kind of go, kind of wiggle around, you can do, I like to do what's called pull shrinking for those, and that's where you're just heating the whole section up and just creating this wave and getting it to lay flat real quick. This is probably the worst side for lighting. So we're going to jump over to this other side. You make it look easy. Sorry, it's just, like, this is so scattered. This is why, like, I film a video and then come here for Q&A, talk about it after, because trying to keep like track of the chat along with explaining what's going on for me is just a different thing altogether. What is your take on my? You're saying though, you make it look so easy. That making this whole thing look easy. This is 10 years of experience right here, and there's people that make it look easier than I can, honestly. So I've been doing it as a full-time job for quite a while, so 10 years, 11? I think I'm 11 now. All right, so let's go over to this side. I think I see a little bit better light reflection here. Yeah, you see that? This is what I'm talking about with that like film wiggle. It's all like there's a big giant air pocket in here. It's raised off the glass. That's gonna give you the biggest headache for shrinking. That's what I was trying to create. That like with that light reflection, so you guys could really see it on camera. So from the center up is really easy, like up to this point, until the curve starts getting a little bit more aggressive. So you're gonna notice it's kind of almost in stages, where you have this easy section that wants to go up, and then it gets a little bit more difficult. So when we get to this point, if we want to pull shrink it, what's going to happen is right in here. You're just going to create this like wave. And as soon as this part starts to lay down, we're just starting to move past it and just kind of going up. And sometimes it doesn't exactly look like a lot's happening. And then you go to lay it all down, and then it's pretty much shrunk. And we're gonna follow it up with the rest of this. So same thing for the bottom here. Can you guys see this? Maybe it's the wrong shape. Alright, I'm just seeing how this looks. Oh look, there you can see the squiggles. That's good. So you notice a couple things too. My heat gun is pointed at an angle that's, at a downwards angle where the heat is going to come across this whole area, kind of warming up the film and gradually shrinking this area right in here. You don't necessarily always want to go head on, because then you're just shrinking these individual spots. You're kind of just creating this heat wave and going down past it. And then it's just that easy. You just do it. Have you guys ever seen that? Ooh. So this is fun. There's got to be a little bit of smoke coming in off of this. 1 second, guys. We got a fire detector going off. Nothing's actually burning, but... Oh, we're going to take a quick intermission. Will it stop? Thank you. No, puppy. Oh, are you scared? Wait, let me show. This is my wiggly dog, Bella. She's terrified right now. We're gonna put her back out. Thank you. I'm shrinking a window. God, I love that. So this is a newer heat gun. A lot of the times they'll burn a little bit of oil. So that might be what's going on. I don't actually see any smoke, but it is what it is. So sorry about that. Let's pop back in here. I'm just gonna go scroll back through some questions. It really hasn't been that long, but let's see what's going on here. Wow, you guys just have your own conversation going on here. Portable ceramic S5. How much should it? Okay, so we're gonna get back to that one. No, no, no fire. Actually, it was kind of funny because I get a smoke detector right outside this room. Where's my camera? There's my camera. I had a smoke detector right outside this room, so whatever, if that heat gun is still burning off like a little bit of oil, it's not a surprise that it set it off. So, plus there's a lot of lights in here. It's really hot, but everything's okay. What is your favorite? Okay, so let's answer. Let me just go back and answer a few questions. What is your favorite tool for tight spots in, say, a 2019 Hyundai Sonata? Had a tough time maneuvering my bulldozer back there in the back corners. I'd still probably use a bulldozer. So one of these guys right here, definitely super handy. I can get these in a lot of tight spaces, and typically what I'll also do is use two hands, so I won't always just like shove it in like this. I'll try and give it like some bottom support here and just like sweep out at a like at an angle when you go. Another couple things to use. These are really handy. These are conquistadors, and those are the two names roughly, and these are the Chinese knockoffs. And what do we got here? This also is really handy for getting in bottom corners too. This is the side swipe. I was using what's called the Stroke Doctor, and those are pretty good too as well. But I don't know. This seemed like it wouldn't be as good as the Stroke Doctor. The Stroke Doctor has a beefy handle to it and a longer blade. But this rubber seems to come out just a little bit farther, and it's got this really nice flex to it. So I've actually been able to push stuff out a lot better and just kind of like sweep my hand in tighter spaces too with something like this. Patrick actually uses these things for a lot of his door windows too as well. So rolling back up. Let's see. How much should an employer start me off with? I have 6 months tinting cars. That's a good question. What's the starting pay for a tinter? That's a great question. It really varies on shop. So there's a few ways you can do it. You can work off of commission, and then some places want to do hourly, and then some places want to do a day rate. It's been a long time. What's a good rate for it? I mean, what I would say is shoot for anywhere from 40 to 50,000 a year is what I would go for. Shoot for 50. I think Patrick, when he was starting off, he got up to 60, 65 very quickly. And that also has to do with how you present yourself as an installer. So, I mean, 6 months isn't a lot of experience, so it's all about what you can provide to them as well and how successful they are as a shop. So if a shop is just not pulling in a lot of business, it's kind of hard to try and hit them for a lot of money, obviously. And, you know, if you're really not that experienced, then there's only so much that you can bring. So figure out how many cars you can do in a day for them. So 6 months, I mean, you'd really want to shoot for about 3 or 4 cars in a day to be pretty productive for them. Well, reasonably productive, and then you want to shoot up from there. So at least, you know, a couple hours at a car is what I would recommend for speed. But I think tinting's just one of those unique skills. If you can do it, if you can pull off good work on cars, then it's really easy to get 45, 50,000 in a year relatively quickly. So it's just getting over that initial hump of getting your stuff down, and it doesn't even necessarily mean 6 months like you're significantly better after a year. There's people that pick it up way quicker than other people, and I think it took me a good solid year till I felt like I was competent for most situations, but definitely picked up a lot more speed since then too. But I don't know, whatever the hourly works out to be, just try and break it down into, I'd say, like 45, 50,000 a year near the beginning. You got to pay, you know, your bills and everything else. So and also leave yourself some room to fast track that too as well. And do not be afraid to shop around other employers too. Like, you don't want to screw the place over that you're working for. But a lot of times the biggest pay bumps come from jumping from one place to the next, just because sometimes you hit that limit or you've been introduced at a certain rate, and then it would be crazy for them to go high, like in their mind. So that's worked out for me that way. So tenders make more than some nurses. Yeah, definitely. I mean, it really depends. There's I don't know what the going rate for nurses are, but I know they got a fuck ton of medical schooling to pay for too as well. So, however they pay for that, but yeah, you can turn over some money really quickly as a tenor. Hey Matt, how have you been? I've been all right, keeping busy. Things have been pretty busy. I'm trying a couple little things on the side too. For the channel. So there hasn't been a regular video in a couple weeks now, but I've been doing these live streams, but I'm working on some other projects in the background that hopefully I'll be able to make into a video soon. Quick question for a back window. Can you shrink with 2 people? Yep. I've done that actually plenty of times where you just handle one side and somebody handles the other side. You knock it out really quick. One of the better ways that I've done with handling cars anyways with more than one person is typically like somebody would be on the back window and then I would be doing door windows. So you kind of stay out of each other's way that way, and you both can knock something out, and you could easily get a car done in like half an hour or less. So I can get doors done pretty efficiently, and then it takes a similar amount of time for a back window depending on the back window. So by the time both of you are done with those couple of things, and then if the person finishes the back window, they can polish up, a door or whatever, depends on where you're at. So just keep things moving that way. The Titan tool saved my butt on that one. I'm just not too fond of how stiff it is. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the Titan either. It looked like it would be super helpful, but there's like this little break in the rubber and like where they seam it together, I think, and it's just like, I don't know, because it's this shape but much longer, it seemed like it would be really helpful, but it's just awkward, and it doesn't press out as much water as you'd like it to, because for whatever reason, like, when you get to stuff like this, they're a little wider in the middle and slimmer on the outside. So it's like when you're trying to like squeegee the water out, a lot of times it presses down at particular spots that aren't super helpful to actually getting the particular spot that you're trying to get out. So that's always annoying. How much would you charge to tint to show? Oh, how much would you charge to show someone how to tint? That's a great question. So I ran a class for 3 days, and I charged them, both of them together as a group, I charged them $1,500 for 3 days. Mostly because where, like, the circumstances, like, it's that first student that makes everything, that really has to cover a lot of costs. Like, I'm not saying put the cost on one student, but, like, you have to get multiple people to make it worthwhile, I think, for pretty much everybody, unless somebody just has a lot of money to spend. Because you have to remember that the tinner is taking off the time from tinting, which is very profitable. And a lot of times training just supplements that time unless you have a couple of people. So if I had 2 or 3 people, I could charge $1,000 per student and still make out very well at the end of that, as far as my time went. But just one person, it's like, I tried doing that for a little bit, and it was like, it worked out to be somewhere in the range of like $1,500 for 3 days for one person. And there's some schools that'll charge that right now. Like some are like $1,500 for 5 days, some are $1,500 for 3 days, and then you have that Expel program out of Texas that's actually a really good value for your money. That's $1,000 for 5 days. But all in all, the specialized training is expensive just because there's not a ton of demand for it. So that's why we started up this whole like online training, certified tinner dealy, because it's, you know, it's that big barrier between I don't have $1,500 to drop on training, but, you know, we can teach you as much as we can from our computers. So cameras and computers. So yeah, hope that answered your question. We need a video of how to tint a back window with a small wiper. Oh, like a hatchback. I haven't done one of those in a while. I'll take the cord of the heat gun and actually hold the wiper back unless they just like stay up by themselves. But yeah, so you got like cars like the Focus hatchback, like a Golf GTI, anything like that. Yeah, I'll keep that in mind. That'd be a good one. I haven't made a video on those in quite a while. Just did a 2018 Ford Fiesta ST. I pulled the wing off for shrinking the back glass. Is that how you would do it, or flip the film for top shrink? So on the Ford Fiestas, the Focus, actually, I don't remove any spoilers. You can just kind of push some heat up there and get it to shrink all the way. If you're a little bit short as far as the shrinking goes, you can touch it up on the inside. And then also from there, you could, another way to do it is to shrink the bottom, and I think like you said, pull the film down just a little bit, give yourself a little bit more space, tack it back down, and shrink up the top. But yeah, there's no reason to remove the spoiler on it. With enough practice anyways, so you're not going to hurt anything by blowing some heat up there either. So the only one that I would suggest right now removing is the Honda Civic Type R, and I guess just the Honda Civic hatchback in general, the one that has that double spoiler. Fuck that, that's just not a fun time. So yeah. Oh, where am I getting lost? Yeah, so I actually did one the other day. I've done one outside of a shop, and that was not fun. I ended up splicing the bottom. Wasn't super proud of it, but you couldn't tell. And then another one, they actually removed all the hardware. And I've seen in groups people saying that it's no big deal. Dude, it had 2 people taking like 20 minutes of their time to try and figure out how to yank all this stuff up, and they had screws and stuff laying everywhere. It's a process to take that sucker apart. So yeah, that's not fun on those Civics particularly. Your videos are just as good as a school. You may not get hands-on training, but trial and error is going to be the best teacher. Time and money makes money. Yep, very true. So, yeah, I appreciate that. The videos, I will give you, they're very helpful, but they're not quite the same as hands-on training. I will still always recommend people to go watch somebody tint, try and tint with somebody if you can when you're learning, and you'll like. It's just, there's lots of little things that you'll see in person that you won't necessarily be able to pick up on camera, just the way filming something is. Like, you can constantly move around, get the light to reflect different ways. With a video camera, it's very hard to capture the right particular spot that you want to convey what's going on. So we do the best we can with multiple videos, but it's always good to get some hands-on training, go to another shop, or, you know, go to school or something like that. What do you think about Premium Star Films? I actually have greetings from Argentina. Wow, welcome. I actually have not heard of Premium Star Films, so I cannot comment on them. There are a lot of unknown brands and a lot of like Reeboxers and stuff like that. So there's just so many window film brands that it's hard to keep up with everything. But I've tried most of the big name ones. I think somebody asked me about Matico or Max Pro. I have not tried them lately. I remember Max Pro looked a little green, but I don't know. I'm hoping to do these film reviews coming up pretty soon, so that's one of the things that I'm working on. So starting with Lexan, actually. Let's see. In all caps, what do you think of Rhino film? I don't know if you've asked it a bunch of times, but I see it. I have not used Rhino films either, actually. Looked into them a little bit, but yeah, I have not touched them yet. I think somebody mentioned that they might be similar to Global, but that's about as far as I can comment so far. What's 40% tint going to read on a tint meter? Looking to go the darkest I can, but also want to pass car inspections. 35 is the legal limit. And what about 42% tint? Ooh. You never are completely sure until you put it on the glass, honestly. Because even though somebody might sell you a 40% tint, it could vary a little bit. So, I mean, really, you can just take, like, you got to take in the percentage of what your glass is, too. I had a video, like a vlog-style video, on my channel. I'm trying to think. The back metered at, like, 28, and the front metered at, oh, what did the front meter at? The front meter at 75, and I remember putting like 35%, and it metered, and then like the tint metered at probably 26 or 27%. So it's even when you do the math, like you take multiply 0.75 or whatever your factory glass is times 0.35, and then you get the percentage of what the film is going to be, multiplied by 100 to get your actual percentage. But that doesn't always like it's supposed to, but you know, until you put it on the glass, put a meter on it, you're never 100% sure. So I'd shoot for probably like, I mean, if 35 is the legal limit, shooting for 40 is pretty safe bet, but with meters, it's always a little touchy. I'd say 50 to be completely safe, but you know, 50 or 45 to be completely safe. Somebody asked about Express. Is Max Pro a Reboxer? I believe so. I'm not positive, but I think most... I don't know, because there's only so many manufacturers, and... Okay, it's not necessarily fair just to call everybody Reboxer, because what you can do is purchase runtime from manufacturers and get your own specialty brand made. You are not the manufacturer, but you purchase the runtime with your own formula to get the film made. With you, basically, they'll give you like I mean, you pick your ingredients, as it were, for the film, and then just kind of get your dye formula down, and then they manufacture the film for you. So I believe they're somewhere along those lines, but I'm not 100% sure. So... Do you think Scorpion is a Reboxer? I know they're a Reboxer, actually. Yeah, my the Auto Tint City, one of the shops that I film a lot of videos at, they bring in Scorpion. I'm not gonna say all. No, I'm pretty sure all of them are Reeboxed other brands, but branding really is a lot of the window film game. Just because there's a Reeboxed film doesn't mean it's a bad film. But just like manufacturers of electronic components, I'll use like solid state drives as an example. I wish I had one in here. So like a hard drive for a computer, right? There's only so many manufacturers of flash memory. Samsung is one of them. There's panel makers for TVs and stuff like that. There's only so many manufacturers. So an LG, a Samsung, any of those are actual manufacturers. And then there's companies like Sharp and, God, just about everybody is skipping my mind right now. Any one of those companies will order a panel from them. Like Apple, they get the OLED screens that they use in their phone. Those are Samsung screens. So there's a lot of that going around in every industry. Not everybody's a manufacturer, but just because they're not a manufacturer doesn't mean it's a bad film. But, you know, it's not exactly the greatest. Like, I don't like ordering my film that way. I like ordering more from manufacturers, but sometimes manufactured films, like directly from that brand, are more expensive. Like Lumar, they're more expensive. Avery Dennison, they're pretty good value for their money, but they're more expensive than Scorpion for sure. So, you know, there's a lot of pros and cons to a lot of things. So, hey Matt, where's your girl at? She's in the other room. She's talking to her family right now, actually. That's my wife. The box says made in the USA. I'm going to stick with them. My customers love the film as well. The price is reasonable. Yeah. There's a lot of people that like American-made films. American-made films are really good at dyeing. Well, I guess out of India too, because you have Gwari. But Lumar is a really good dyed film manufacturer. So they actually, like Eastman Chemical Company, they dye a lot of pretty much everybody's American window film. So if it's made in the U.S., a lot of times it'll be dyed from Lumar. So, but you know, they could pay for a cheap dye or an expensive dye, and Lumar probably holds the patents to their own dyes. It doesn't want other people using them. So, you know, a lot of things to. It's hard to sift through everything too. You know, you talk to a film rep and they'll tell you what you want to hear, not necessarily what you need to. Matt, do you have your own shop? No, not right now, but I do have. I am on my own as far as running around handling some mobile accounts. So, I'm not necessarily looking for a shop. I want more of a studio space. I would actually love to just have a full-size garage, and I'm looking for one right now, like full-size garage out of a house, and then just tint there because low overhead, and I could do just as well out of there than owning my own shop. I mean, yeah, it'd be a little weird to have people come there, but I think nowadays, with, you know, I'm just gonna say generally online, you know, programs and stuff like that, you can run things a lot different now than you could before. So. Can we visit you? Yeah, I wouldn't mind that. So I'm at a couple of different places. It really just depends on the time of week. So there's like 3 accounts that I run to throughout the week. I'd shoot for like Dearborn Heights, Auto Tint City on Thursdays, but other than that, it's kind of like I'm running between like Warren and Shelby Township too. So, but yeah, I mean, hit me up. You can always email me, Matt@CertifiedTinner, or just, what's the other one? Hit me up on Facebook or something. So I don't mind that. Let's see, what do we got? Love your channel, been tinting myself for about 20 years and enjoy how honest you are and don't try and bullshit. Keep it up, man. Thank you. Yeah, I don't know. I've always been tired of the bullshit, like you've said. Like, I always try and speak from experience, and a lot of times I want my experience with a film or with a product to be what you would expect. I don't like to fluff things up, because the second you do, and then the experience somebody else has differs from yours, then, you know, your whole authenticity starts being taken into question, and my channel is not going to have any sustainability if I'm just speaking a bunch of bullshit. So I like what I like. And, you know, not everybody's experiences are going to be completely the same, but I appreciate that comment. There's just a funny post I saw today, too, about plotter software. People were harping on film and vinyl designs, and I don't mean to throw them under the bus right now, but I've had my fair share of issues. So same thing with a lot of them. There's a lot of people talking about plotters right now, and it's just a tough game. FC Autos, hey, congrats on the channel. Good stuff. Thanks, man. Why is there a check mark by your name? Is this like verified? Can I get verified? Can I go? Oh, I can go to your channel. I'm going to investigate for a quick sec. Whoa! Jesus, I need a check mark on my channel. You got 230,000 subs, man. I need to get a check mark. Is that like the Twitter check mark? That's great. All right. So I'm just. He commented again. Came here to watch you shrink the windshield. Get on it. Just kidding. Good stuff, man. Yeah, I actually did it once, but I'm gonna do it again. So we might as well go for it. We're just gonna go at regular speed. I'm trying to explain things and show you guys exactly what's going on. Sometimes it's just good to go through it and talk about it afterwards too. So we're going to go ahead and hop to it again. Right after, one more question. I cleaned and cleaned my windows, but still got trash. Any tips? Yeah, most of it's going to be your technique. I actually don't have, like, I don't put a ton into cleaning. Right now, I'll scrape the bottom. I'll use a scrub pad with a compound on the rest of the window, wipe it off with a towel, squeegee it down, swipe the sides, and then the most of it, the majority of it comes down to technique. Film and final designs is trash. Yep. Verified. No, this happens when you hit 100,000 subs. You get an automatic check mark. Oh, okay. Well, that's good to know. Thank you. There's a couple things that I hope with 100,000 subs. I need to get that plaque. I've been wanting that plaque for a while. Where am I at right now? I'm at like almost 46 now. Got a little ways to go, but I'm gonna keep going until I hit it. Then I'm gonna retire. Just kidding. I'm just gonna keep going. All right, so we're gonna get back to this windshield. So I'm gonna rip this off, and then we're gonna do it again. So anybody that is tuning in now, we're gonna shrink the windshield, and I apologize. I did the best I could on lighting. So we're just gonna throw that away. Ugh. And then we're gonna throw some film back on here. So this is a 35%, just regular dyed film, nothing fancy here. I also saw a post or a comment in my group today that said cheap films do not shrink well. That is inaccurate. The way a film shrinks is not indicative of the quality of the film, actually. You can have cheap dyed films shrink very well. So, I don't know. It's just a general misconception. Because I actually used to judge film like that. If it shrank well, then I wanted to use it. If it was a pain in the ass to shrink, I didn't want to use it. So, I have come to appreciate films that don't necessarily shrink well, or shrink very quickly, but they have to have other qualities that make them better. So usually dyed films will shrink very easy, and then when you get into like ceramics and stuff like that, they're more about performance. So they don't necessarily need to shrink super quick, but they need to bring extra value to the customer. So let's go ahead. What do we got going on? You should do a Corvette C6 rear glass. Ooh, that one's not fun. All right, so let's go ahead and shrink this really quick. We'll just shrink this at regular speed. Because why not? Gotta go fast. So, I have split this in halves, and here we go. You'll notice I have the heat gun at an angle, more like a 45, 60 degree angle. And I'm just watching. As soon as the film lays down, then I'm pushing it. I'm swiping it down with this felt card right here. I like these felt cards because they skip over any debris that might be on the window, so you don't accidentally rip a hole in your film if you had a small piece of sand. It's almost like, I don't want to say typewriter, that doesn't necessarily make sense. But you're keeping it almost at the same distance away from the glass, and you're just watching the film, and when it goes down, that's when you want to push it down. I've been doing so many windshields though lately, it's been ridiculous. The governor mentioned the state laws might change for window tinting, but then they didn't. But I think people are under the impression, in Michigan anyways, that they did change. But they didn't. So people are still asking for windshields like crazy this year. So just about every other day I'll have like 2 or 3 windshields to install. It's getting obnoxious. I really don't like doing windshields that much, but We're just moving along. I don't know if people have any questions here, but I will get to them after I am done. If you guys want to see what it usually looks like when I'm tinting cars by myself, no cameras or whatever, this is for the most part what it looks like. You just kind of whip through it. Time is money, and it's all about just getting as many cars done in the time that you have to get them done. But you want to do a good job, of course, so quality is also very important. But you do have to learn how to push yourself in the right way. Cool. So that's it. Shrunk. What do we got going on? Let's pop back here. Pow. Oh, let's see. A beetle or something challenging. Yeah. I kind of want to get. I don't know. I gotta get something definitely more difficult than this. This is not that difficult to shrink. I will say that right off the bat. Would be nice to have a Beetle backglass. That's kind of a little extreme. That Honda Civic Type R is actually a pretty good in between one being like dumb annoying towards the bottom, but not like super crazy. It would be a good one to benchmark film on. Are you planning to make the Lexan follow-up videos? Yeah, absolutely. Lexan, actually, look what came today. Ugh. Thanks to you guys. See this right here? Boom. Lexan was nice enough to send out some film for me to try out. So this right here is actually their premium carbon that's direct off their website. So if you guys watched last week, you'll know that I tried out their film off of Amazon, and then they popped in the stream and said that film is actually different from the stuff that they sell directly on their website. So we have to try the stuff on their website too as well. So I'm going to be doing a comparison between the two and overall. But yeah, it gave it a pretty stellar first impression review last week, but I want to put it through its paces, see what it's like to drive around with, see how the color holds up, if I can get it to fade or something like that. They say that it's made with carbon, so that should mean that you will not see any type of color change, but you know, we have to put it through its paces to give it a fair shake. What time is it? 10:20. Wow. Okay, where are we at? Anyone ever tinted a large tractor alone, reverse rolling doors from the top or bottom? Any tips would be appreciated. Oof, I actually have not. Who was it? Go check out Winning Window Tint. They actually put up a tractor video lately or recently. So they have a pretty hyped up YouTube channel. Most of it's about like before and afters, not too much into the detail on what goes on, but they did show some stuff for that tractor, and it did not look super fun, but it was a two-person job, so doing it alone, I can imagine it takes some time, especially cleaning those windows thoroughly to make sure they look good. So have you used any 2mm film? If so, what's your thoughts? Maybe unintentionally. Just the thicker the film gets, the more cardboard or construction paper. It's just more rigid. So I like security films. I actually installed 4mm security film on my Explorer, and that was just some thick stuff. It shrank actually really easy. But just trying to get it to maneuver into where you need it to go without creating any creases was really difficult. So that's something to keep in mind. 2mm probably wouldn't be as bad as 1.5, but most professional brands are really only making their films up to 1.5mm anyways, unless you get into like security films. Been doing tons of windshields myself. I don't know what it is. It's been like stupid. I used to do one windshield like a month, maybe a couple more than that, but now it's been like every week I've been getting at least, like at this one shop, I've been getting at least like 2 to 3 windshields every week. Like at least a couple in a day. It's just like out of nowhere. It's bizarre. Mostly like 50 or 35% on those. Windshields are good money. I charge 160 each. Yep. Yeah, they are. I get more for them too as well. But God, I'm just so sick of like, especially on trucks. Like that's been the majority of it has been on like Dodge Rams, F-150s, stuff that you have to like go up on the step bars, climb back down, go around, do it again, hopping up in and out, trying to clean that big ass windshield and make it look good. It's just been a pain in the ass. It's definitely how you get better. But every time I see one now, I just kind of roll my eyes. You make it look easy. Thanks, man. Been doing it a long time, so I like been doing it 11-ish years now. So it's just a lot of repeat practice. I've been tinning 6 days a week for a long time. Down to 5 days a week now. Thankfully, I like my weekends now, so I'm gonna keep on. I'm gonna hold on to those as long as I can right now. But yeah, it's just a lot of rinse and repeat. It actually, eventually, the logistics of getting the jobs become the difficult part instead of just tinting. That eventually just becomes muscle memory at some point. Is Moto Shield tint any good? I have had people ask me about that one, but that's one of the the Amazon brands that I have not looked into yet. Lexan, I was actually pleasantly surprised with Lexan compared to let's see, there was the MK Brothers, then I tried Hilo, and then Black Magic. So I've tried some cheaper films, and they all kind of seem the same until I tried Lexan. And thank you guys for hammering on them for a little bit, or hammering on me to try them, because I had bundled all of them up into this, I just save your money, buy some better film, or use it for practice, and that's about it. This stuff is different. It's got a good color to it. They're not asking a lot for it. Again, I can't speak on longevity yet, but they say it's got a lifetime warranty with it, so they'll at least help you out as far as film cost goes. And they're pretty awesome customer service and company so far. So, yeah, that's been pretty cool to see. Do you bring a stool or anything with you mobile? I've been using knee pads, and my back is starting, or my back is hurting from squatting from all these doors all day. Yeah, I'd recommend a rolling stool. I actually just picked up a foldy stool. I made a silly community post about it. It's like those I don't know, you pick it up in the middle. It doesn't have a pad on top of it, so it's not super comfortable or anything. But getting one of those rolly stools that you can just scoot around the car was always pretty beneficial. So I was using those for a long time. Running around mobile, I don't like carrying around a stool just because it takes up more space, and it's something else that I gotta haul out of my truck. But I do have a really easy foldy one that I like to carry around with me. I would definitely recommend using a stool though, because yeah, getting on your knees, trying to sit in the seat, with the door half closed, it's just yeah, it sucks. What is it? I'm in the sticks of the thumb. That's all lifted trucks, young kids. Yes, it is. We have those areas around here too, but it's not as prominent as I'd imagine out in the sticks. Yeah, there's you get into Taylor and stuff like that, and Water Tucky. And there's just certain areas where everybody loves their lifted trucks and stuff like that. They love going mudding, and you're just they'll bring it in covered in mud, and you're just no, wash this shit off, please, because it's just gonna be a disaster. What's the art of shrinking tint? Just practice. It really is. It's just learning how to read the film, and that comes with experience and time, picking up tips and tricks as you go, but a lot of it is just practice and repetition. My mom's windshield cracked. Now I'm going back back to the strip up top. Mine cracked too. I gotta get that replaced. I was supposed to shoot a video on it. Like, I was gonna shoot a video with that 70% ceramic on my Explorer, and then my windshield cracked, and then I haven't replaced it yet, and it's annoying. But yeah, I gotta get mine replaced too. Have you gone into wrapping or PPF since tinning, or have you gone into wrapping or PPF, been tinning since 1981 when Lumar was only game, now training people on how to wrap? Okay, so I actually have PPF experience. I do have a couple of videos on the channel, but it's not something that I like to do regularly. Just because consistency was always a big problem with pulling in jobs. So I was tinning for Auto Tint City full time. Now I'm just there 1 day a week by choice. And they tried to get into the PPF game a lot more, and it was, oh God, it was pain because jobs came so few and far between. Like, it was every like 2 or 3 months they'd have a PPF job. So it never really gave me a lot of time to focus on it. And then they would still pull in regular tint work, and I was the main window tinter there, so I was bouncing back and forth between PPF and window tinting, when really it's like, okay, this time needs to be set aside for PPF so I can focus on it, so I can make sure it looks good. Because PPF, you have a very high failure like expense, basically. So if you screw up a piece of film for PPF, that shit's not cheap. So you can easily spend at like $700-800 on the front end kit for PPF. Maybe not quite that. Oh, God, it's been a while. Something like that. Maybe $400 or $500, but it's been a while. And we were using Lumar too, so that shit was not cheap. So if you had a couple of specs, like, you could try and rinse them out and stuff like that, and if you got them out, you'd be fine. But if something dried funny, customer didn't like it, then you're ripping that whole piece off and starting fresh. But with window tint, the cost of film is significantly less by and large, and the pieces are smaller too. So screwing up a back window or windshield sucks, but for PPF, that was not fun at all. But it always took me a lot longer. It took me about a good solid day to get the front end done. So that was like full hood, fenders, bumper. And then the next day would be doing some extra cuts, touch up, and making sure everything was all set. So it was a big project for me. I've probably done about 25 front ends in total. But it's definitely worth it to get into. But you really need help, because it always seemed like one supplemented the other. So if you're, proficient with window tinting and then you get into PPF, the time that you're going to be spending on the PPF kind of adds up to the time that you're spending on window tinting as a whole in a day. And unless you can really whip jobs out extra fast on PPF, like, at the end of the day, checkbook kind of balanced to be roughly the same. Same thing with vinyl work, from what I saw. That's probably not the case with every shop, but in my experience, it was either like, when they brought in PPF, they thought they were going to pull in PPF and keep window tint going, and we just didn't have the people to cover both. So it really kind of, in the end of the day, was just bouncing around making the same amount of money. So I liked being able to spend the time on PPF, but overall, I like window tinting better, just because, like, I specialize in it. I'm good at it at this point, and it's learning the extra stuff with PPF. Just like, I'll do small stuff, but it's just not worth it for me to do full jobs right now in it. Not unless I wanted to move from tint to PPF. So, do you sell those tools behind you? Yes, I do. They are for sale on certifiedtinner.com in the store. These are just our training tools. So if you're looking to get into it, you want to play around with some window tinting, but you don't want to spend a ton of money, we have like soft squeegees, handles, all sorts of fun little stuff to get into it. Recommend starting there. So basically everything that I sell on the website is stuff that I would use on pretty much every car. So if you bought every one, like, there's like 20 items in the store, so if you bought every single one of those, you'd pretty much be good. for 99% of situations out there, minus a heat gun and a spray bottle. Those are the only two things that I don't sell. Everything else is like super handy. So like, I mean, you'll see in all my videos, I use a squeegee with a handle for the majority of my windows. These are super helpful to get into tight spots. Scraper card, one of these dealies right back here. So you see me use a scraper card pretty often in my videos. Blue touch-up cards. But we got hard cards, we got felt cards. These little shank tucking tools are super handy. We have tool belt, stainless steel blades, and a mess of other little knickknacks too. But all of those pretty much have your bases covered. I just wanted to stock the stuff that I pretty much used, and that was about as far as I get. All the little extras, you can find those at professional sites, and there's definitely a better version at professional tool sites too. So you have like Tint Depot, 44 Tools, Interwest, and then a mess of other sites that are skipping my mind right now too. So if you have a recommended tool site and you're watching this, feel free to drop it in the chat for anybody that's wondering where you can get some tools. Oh man, what are we at? We're at 10:30. I'm gonna have to be wrapping up soon. It's been a weird live stream. Hope you guys enjoyed it though. It's been like, I really like having a set video and being able to talk about it after, but it's just been one of those off weeks this week. So we're just doing as best as we can. Still glad I could come live. I don't know if this light bulb's super annoying. I just noticed that it's back there still. Any tips for an adhesive remover on a back glass? Yes, actually. So you have a couple industry-made ones. You have Fusion Epic Orange. That's actually better than what I thought it was going to be. No offense to them. Just I got the impression that it was citrus-based or something, and but it's made for like CDA adhesives. So those are architectural stuff. So that's what it's like. I guess architectural adhesive. I'm not super familiar with it, but it does work for automotive adhesives as well. But the architectural stuff, that's really what it's made for, and it's good at breaking that down. But there's one out there called ATR, and that has always been my go-to. So if you have some old purpley shitty film, Windex actually works really good to dissolve most of that. But a lot of the more modern adhesives use something like ATR, and it'll cut through a lot of the adhesive, actually all of the adhesive. It'll pretty much melt it. So put some towels down, spray it. It's fine for the paneling. It's not going to stain it or anything. Scrub it down with like a white scrub pad, and then take a towel and wipe it off. Really good stuff. And then also, a handful of people kept mentioning Awesome from the dollar store. And I did pick it up, and I have tried it, and I need to do a comparison because the stuff was awesome. It actually smells super similar to ATR. ATR smells a little bit stronger, I think, but Awesome from the dollar store. Get that stuff if you ever, like, not Goo Gone or any of those other weird citrus adhesive removers like Rapid Remover. That was not consistent for me. Pick up either some ATR off of a tint tool website, or go to the dollar store and grab some Awesome if you're ever in a pinch. It's like got this long list of stuff that it's used for, or that you can use it for, and it works super well with window tint adhesives. So, are pre-cut tints worth it for beginner? Yeah, I think so. Having a plotter helps out a little bit more because it takes like half the stress out of learning, really. Cutting out patterns are half the battle. Installing them there's shrinking, of course, in there too. So that's like a small piece in there, I guess. So you really have like hand cutting, shrinking, and then installing. So those are like your three main pieces to it. So taking out hand cutting out of the mix can definitely make things easy. The only issue that you're going to have is if you screw up a pattern, you don't really have a backup. So you need to know how to hand cut. But if you get more comfortable with installation, then you absolutely could order kits and just go that way. I'm sure there's people out there that do that, but definitely want to practice hand cutting during that time too as well. So even if it's on your own car, repetition, just keep practicing it over and over again until you get better and better. That's, even on the same windows, it's just a lot of it's muscle memory, and you'll see it from car to car. A lot of windows are extremely similar. So appreciated the video. Thanks for streaming. Thank you for hanging out. It's been fun. Glad you liked the video. What is his website? My website, certifiedtinner.com, if that's the question. I'm having trouble with finding a supplier to buy Lumar window tint. What's a good place to buy it from? You gotta buy it from Lumar, actually. I actually know a little bit about this whole situation. So, 44 Tools, they were who, Auto Tint City, we ordered, like, we were a Lumar dealer. We ordered Lumar film through them. And what Lumar did was they had a handful of distributors. So a lot of times what you'll see is a manufacturer makes the film and distributors handle all the customer relations. A lot of manufacturers just want to handle making the film as much as they can, and then they'll rely on other people to handle all the middleman stuff. Well, Lumar they changed the management, and they decided to bring all that in-house. So there was a huge backlash from all these Lumar people trying to get film from Lumar because Lumar wasn't doing a very good job during this transition of handling their customers. So a lot of times these distributors will have different territories and stuff like that. And 44 Tools, they're out of Ohio. They were in my circle, so we would still order Lumar film. Their contract was on an off cycle from everybody else's. So they actually got to retain their Lumar dealer status or Lumar distributor status for a little bit longer because they got all this backlash. They were signed on for like another 5 years or something like that. But then that cycle, that contract came to an end, and then they were no longer allowed to sell Lumar window film. So Lumar actually brought all their window film in-house and is currently self-distributing it. So you actually have to get in contact with them to order their film. They're very protective about their brand, and they've done a very good job of keeping a really top-tier status for their brand too. So they have, I think, like $800 a month in film is what you have to order from them if you want to remain a Lumar dealer. They're just one of those top-tier brands, but if you are under their system, like, they're not going to sell the film for you. You still have to put in all the legwork to get the jobs and everything like that. Like, just being in a Lumar database doesn't really do a whole lot for you. But that whole Lumar mentality, it's kind of like the Apple store. There's other cell phone stores, and then there's the Apple store. And whenever you walk by an Apple store, there's so many more people in there just because they have this brand presence. So Lumar wants people to kind of have that brand presence for their own brand. So there's something different altogether. Definitely a lot of other good window films out there, but I wouldn't just jump into Lumar because they're Lumar. You want to be established as a window film company, I would say, before you just go grab Lumar and start throwing it on cars. Oh, any tips for Porsche Panamera dot matrix on the doors? Those are so annoying too. Cut them real slim. So I don't know why they did that. It's like they have these little tracks too along those windows. I've done a bunch of the Panameras. I haven't hardly done any other Porsches, but Panameras, for whatever reason, keep coming in. But you're right. They have these dot matrix patterns on the doors, and they have these really tight quarter windows in the front. But they almost have these pegs on the windows that follow the window track up and down. But keep them just super slim. Just cut them to the very edge of the dot matrix. And you should be able to tuck it in okay. I'll still two-stage those windows. But yeah, just keep them real tight. That's all I can say about those. I only use plotted kits for now, save so much time. I do cut them myself, however. That's good. Yeah, plotters, if you're not super proficient in hand cutting, that's where plotters will really save you time, along with somebody running the plotter for you as well. That'll save you the most time. Do you like 3M Crystalline? I think it's overrated. I had a little experience trying to install it. I didn't do super well with it. It's a different animal entirely. But 3M is another one of those companies that's all about brand presence. They charge a lot for their film. I don't know how, for the love of God, that they've been able to get their films at such a upper price point, but they're just good on branding. So 3M, I don't think it's really going to do a whole lot more for you as far as just general performance compared to a lot of other ceramics. I think it's overrated, but some people want it. But it's like $1,200 for a roll, I think. 12 or 1,600. It's stupid expensive for that film. So you have to get your money out of it too. So we're going to answer just a couple more questions, and then we're going to go ahead and wrap up. Okay. Call me or text me. I'll get the number for my rep. I'm assuming that's about Lumar. Oh, I'm a Lumar guy. And then I'm going to show this one. YouTube flagged this comment, but I'm going to show it. He said, fuck crystalline, too expensive. Yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on that too. It's just, if you have that clientele base, right? If it's all about what people are willing to pay for too. So you can get the best film in the world and try and convey that, but if you don't have the right customer base for that product, then you're not going to do very well. So it just, yeah, it's a tough game. Know your market, and that doesn't mean you can't go up to a higher market by any means, but you know, there's just some areas that have a lot more money than other areas. So just, yeah. If people are asking for it and you think there's a demand for it, then absolutely bring it in, but I think it's overrated, and you can provide a similar experience with some less expensive films at this point. It's a bitch to work with. It was such a pain in the ass, and I'd love to learn the 3M way to like pocket shrink that film or whatever, but yeah, I don't think it's worth it. It would just be another thing to learn. Let's see. What about flex film? Ooh, touchy subject. I don't get along with the company at this point. They, I don't know. They get a funny group on Facebook, but they actually locked me out of their group. So, I have some experience with the film. I think the film was okay. They did a world of good for the whole heatbox demonstration and stuff like that, but if you've been using it and you like it, good for you. There's just some bad blood with me and the company apparently, so go figure. Let's see, best ceramic. That's a good question. The ceramic I'm carrying around right now is Helio ceramic, and that's branded under a couple of different things too as well. But there's also GeoShield, I think, is a very, very good ceramic film. Lumar has a very, very good ceramic film. Yeah, those are a couple of them that are really good. I've heard Wincos is really good, and Solar. They all, like, there's basically every big brand right now has a pretty competitive, good ceramic film at this point. So there's XPEL, there's Solar FX, and a bunch of other ones. So it's like, it almost gets to the point where it starts splitting hairs, and just trying to answer that question of longevity. So they will send you samples. So I suggest this to everybody. Reach out to them. Try and pay, if they make you pay for a sample or if they'll send you a free one, whatever. Just try and get a hold of a couple of different samples. Play around with it. Put it on your own car. Drive around with it. And just see what it's like compared with the other ones. And then make your own informed choice off of there. It's tough for me to really recommend one completely over the other because there's a lot of them that are just good now. For the color stable film right now, I'm installing Avery Dennison, but there's lots of other ones that are good as well. So, yep, it's just, you know, everybody, like, I understand wanting a definitive answer for, like, you know, what's the best one, but, you know, everybody's got an argument for their own film, so that's why it's tough to say specifically. There are definitely ones that are not good, but yeah. Okay, Where am I at? I'm like spacing out at this point. We're at 10:45. I gotta close things down now. We're gonna answer one more. Yeah, slurring words at this point. How long does it take to be a top-notch tinner? That is completely your own skill, your own ambition, how fast you take to it. It's different with everybody. So I'd say most people average out at about a year of dedicated effort. We got some people at Auto Tint City right now. That's my dad's shop, by the way. One of them we brought in October. He's just hustles and he puts in the effort and he's always watching and trying to get better. And that always seems to be the key to getting better, is always trying to figure out how to do things better, trying to tackle certain situations yourself, not always trying to get somebody to bail you out. And you're going to make mistakes, and he's made plenty of them, but he started in October and he's a pretty proficient installer at this point. He's handling full cars by himself. And that's under a year. There's another guy, he's mostly doing door windows, and my younger brother, he's a full-time tinner there. He just makes them start installing back windows. He'll shrink it for them, and he'll just be like, all right, I need you to install this back window. I'm working on the doors. And then they're like, I don't know if I'm ready for that. And he's just like, just do it. And sometimes that extra push is what some people need. So a year, I would say, to be pretty proficient on average, but it all depends on your ambition. If you have a wealthy area, then all ceramic and crystalline all day. That would be living the dream, wouldn't it? Just $1,000, actually probably be more than $1,000 tint jobs all day. But that's competition. As soon as somebody catches wind like that, there'll be 3 other shops trying to beat you down. So thanks for answering my questions. Really enjoyed your videos. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you, and I appreciate that comment. So, all right, we're going to go ahead and wrap things up at this point. I'm just kind of drowning on, but hope you guys enjoyed some of the shrinking on this windshield. I did the best with lighting. Like, I am being blinded right now. There's just so many lights. I get this one back here, too. So we'll be back next week, probably with a regular video, same time, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. On Thursdays, and then Patrick, join him on the Window Tinting Business channel on Tuesdays at 9:30 p.m. So he always has his live streams too as well. And then also this video and last week's video and every week prior to that, those are all uploaded to our website, certifiedtinner.com. It's all cataloged up there, and the live streams and the individual videos themselves. So go check those out for sure. If you want to learn more about window tinting, there's a lot more detail on that website. So, and I'm going to go ahead and, how do you mix your tint solution? I get caught up in questions so fast. Little bit, like 1 ounce per gallon typically. I just have these here. Tint Slime's pretty good. Baby shampoo or Dawn. The rule of thumb is 1 ounce per gallon, but don't be shy. A little bit more will always benefit you than not having enough. So get it, slide around, tack it up. If it locks in place a little bit, like you want it to tack up, lock in place quickly, and then move on. So just experiment with it. I have some more videos, just like I actually have a solutions video up on certifiedtinner.com, so you can check that out as well. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and end things. Thank you guys so much for tuning in this week, and I will, of course, see you next week. Thanks. Bye.